So let's look at stances, what are one of the cores of many characters these days. Especially in Tekken 8, almost every character is given some kind of like crouch dash transition or stance or cancel or something like that to add a little bit of zazz to their repertoire. In Lili's case, she's always had some good stance mechanics, and they've been pretty enhanced in this game. Some are pretty good, some are still like okay, but they're getting there. So let's start with the do glide. The do glide is really, really important. This is a great tool all around for any character that has this traditional roll dash. The basic Tekken crouch dash is a quarter circle forward input. I'll show you in the move list so you can see exactly what it is. It's the same input as a Street Fighter 2 fireball. It's a down, forward, forward input, and that quarter circle causes her to do the crouch dash. A really excellent tip in this game, now as you can see in the notes, it says down, forward, and hold it. It says to cancel and go shift into crouch state. What you actually get is kind of two versions of it. You get the roll dash by doing quarter circle, and you get this fake roll dash that kind of looks like that, right? See how she sort of stops quickly? She's doing the roll dash, but then she cancels and stays crouching. So what happens here is if you do a do glide and just press 4, you get while standing 4 because she doesn't have a special do glide 4. But if you do 3, that's do glide 3, you don't get while standing 3. So when you do this fake roll dash, you just do the down, forward part. There's while standing 3. It looked like a do glide to beginning, but it wasn't. Like you can't really tell the difference if I'm just doing them. You can't tell that wasn't a full do glide. It was the fake do glide, so to speak. So when you do both of these, you have access to two different toolkits, your while standing stuff, as well as your actual do glide stuff. 3 is the biggest difference there. Actually, they're all kind of different, but it's just more stuff that you could do. This was a huge property for Nina, who has these crouch dash cancels everywhere, and she can do both sets. Very cool stuff. So instead of just do glide 1, you can do a fake do glide into while standing one. Fang uses this a lot. Leo uses it a lot. It's a cool technique. The only problem with it is you cannot do it when you transition. If I do back 1 and hold forward to go into do glide, that is a do glide. You cannot do the fake version and get while standing stuff out of that. You can cancel it. You can cancel that into sidestep and do other stuff. And in fact, I have a whole other video from Tekken 7 about doing just that, linked down below. That all still works the same. You're going to do that a lot, that technique, just cancel out of the sidestep. That works really well. But when you're transitioning into do glide, that's your only option. You do not have access to the fake do glide in your while standing arsenal. If you do it manually, you do. Transitions, you don't. So you got to remember that. So anyway, what do you do with do glide? You have 1, 2 to get started with. Nice natural combo, knockdown, pretty unsafe. The second hit is a counter hit launcher. Does a ton of damage. But the only time you're ever going to get people with that is if you use the cancel. If you hold back after you input 1, 2, she will cancel the second hit and turn around. This leaves Lili back turned, but at a gigantic disadvantage. There was a patch in Tekken 7 where the window you can see is -9 on hit there. It's -14 on block. So what that's saying is if they're ready for that cancel, they're going to light you up in the back and there's nothing you can do about it for like 20 frames. So why would you do that? Because if you have an opponent that's going to get antsy and try to challenge your stances and stuff like that, you just let it rock with that second hit. It'll counter hit them and you get a launcher. So they cover each other. They kind of put Lili at some risk, but I don't think too many Lili players worry about that, right? You do kind of have to let it rock from time to time. This is an exceptionally risky way to let it rock, but it is there. This is a pretty good move, but you can kind of confirm if you got the hit or not. Just do it. And if you see it blocked, you can kind of tap back and cancel at the last second. And if you've done that, then you got your options. You can duck, you can, even when you're back turned, you can use that to sidestep. There's some stuff you could do. You're not dead, but be warned, it's very risky. So 1, 2, do glide 1, 2 has the counter hit built in and the cancel that kind of complement each other. New to this game is do glide 1, 4. This is not a natural combo, but it's safe on block, which is kind of nice. And in heat mode, this would be plus on block, 2 or 4. Also very good. They would be able to technically can step this, but it's kind of hard. And if you did 1, 2, it would blow them up anyway. So I don't think that's a huge risk of having an opponent step this. So kind of a cool one to throw out there and mess up with the timing, right? If you're worried about this and the cancels, that's another layer to add to their timing. Do Glide 1-4 is a nice addition to this game. Do Glide 2-1, one of your best homing moves. You can see it's also a heat engager. First hit's a homing move. You can see it's pretty short. I'm doing it very fast. Technically, I think this is 16 because the down forward inputs count. I think it's 16 frames. And you can do it super long, right? You can do the whole do glide and then do it. So technically, this has got some excellent range and is very quick up close, however you want to use it. 2-1 is also not hit confirmable, but kinda. You can sort of tell, did they do something and then let it rip? There's a bit of a delay. So it's not, if they flinched, you can confirm that flinch and hit them. Otherwise, it's a little bit unsafe. But this is a heat engager, which has some really good uses built in that we'll get to in a minute. Do Glide 3 is also new to this game. Do Glide 3 used to be this. So that got replaced with this, which means there's actually no lows in Do Glide at all. They could technically just stand there all day and wait and punish you for doing stuff, but that's not going to be smart for them. You're going to be in control when you do that because you can always just cancel out. You don't have to do glide stuff. You can back one, then cancel out and go low immediately, right? So that's not a super big concern that there's no natural low. There's still lows. You can do this stuff and cancel out. It's fine. So Do Glide 3 is a tornado attack in combos. It's a safe mid that knocks down and hits grounded opponents. Really good stuff all around. Does decent damage while it's at it too. So this is a nice addition. It is the slowest move out of Do Glide, despite what it might look like, but it technically is. We mentioned she doesn't have a Do Glide 4, so you just get while standing 4. This is also a safe mid that knocks down, so you kind of want to stick to that for the most part. If you're doing, you want to do a nice basic safe option, you can just do that and you're fine. 3 would work, yeah, I guess, but it's a little bit slower. And 4, if the issue is you getting blown up in your transitions, 4 is faster. I would stick to that. But 3 does hit grounded, so you kind of want to remember that too. Next up is Do Glide 1+2. This is an old classic. This was a Tekken 5 counter hit launcher. It is not a launcher today, but it is a power crush. This is the thing that really ties the room together. She had homing in the last game, so you couldn't step her Do Glide transitions. She was really good at stopping that, but you could jab her out. You could literally jab every single thing she did, except back 1 into 1-2. There was a 1 frame window where she would high crush your jab and hit you. Otherwise, that jab beat every single option she had. Unless you sidestep, obviously. But now she can just power crush and blow up those jabs. Really cool option. Really, really need that. Does the same damage as your 3. It's a good move all around. It's unsafe. It's -11. But for a power crush mid, -11 is fine. It's really good to have. Lastly is 3+4. This was a homing move in the last game. They took that out. I guess it's not really necessary. Now you can step this, but go ahead, figure that out. It's not my job to know which way you step that. It doesn't seem like you should track it at all, but whatever. So it's technically not homing anymore, but it is still +6 on block, which is really, really good. They're highs. Got to be aware of that. They can duck during Do Glide, even though this is the only high in the stance. Everything else is a mid. 3 was a mid. 4 is a mid. 1's a mid. If they're ducking versus your Do Glide, they duck this the first time, I think you're winning because the next time you're going to light them up with whatever you want. You know what I mean? If you got them ducking already. So that's the only highs, but they're +1,000,000. They're a really, really good tool. And it's the fastest option out of Do Glide. That's hard to blow up even if they wanted to try. So it's a really good tool. The other thing you can do is transition into Feisty Rabbit with back 3 or back 4. Just do the Do Glide and back 3, back 4, and she'll Feisty Rabbit, her other stance. The one that I mentioned that's not as good, but they're working on it, you can transition back and forth between Do Glide, Feisty Rabbit, Do Glide. It's there. If you want to bounce around like that and not get clipped, you can do that. So let's look at the moves that go into Do Glide. And as we mentioned, you can't do the fake version of it. You're stuck in Do Glide things. But you can always sidestep out. You just tap into the background, sidestep, and boom, you're safe. You don't have to commit. So 3-2 is one of them. This is probably the worst one other than its range. People are going to duck that. They know you're not out here just probably going to throw out a 3-1, even though it's a good heat engager. It's unsafe, and you really don't need to be doing stuff like that. So smart players are thinking, oh, I know he's doing the 3-2 for the Do Glide. They're going to duck, so be aware of that. Back 1, however, is probably your best one. See on block, the transition is 0, which is her best one. It used to be +1 in the last game, now it's only 0, but that's fine. On hit, it's +8. However, On counter hit, when you go into do glide, you see it says 14, which is a real 14. So that means you can do this for free. Do glide 3+4 is guaranteed, and that'll wall splat him up here. If you get this counter hit, guaranteed wall splat starting at 37 damage. Also guaranteed, do glide 2-1, the heat engager, which means if you're already in heat mode, that becomes a combo starter. You get a whole launcher off of that. So that is really good. This back one counter hit is now amazing. They made it a little bit weaker to transition into do glide by 1 frame, but they made your counter hit rewards even better. I think that's cool. I think that's fair. That means you get a much, much better reward right away, where you kind of got nothing before but a mix-up, right? Now on counter hit, you get good stuff. So back one is still one of your best things to run offense with. Back one to do glide is one of your better tools. Sidestep, do it again, do a low, you know what I mean? Good one, really good all around. We talked about back 2-1 in the punishment section. This is fast. This is your fastest way to go into do glide, as well as being able to turn around. Tons of mix-up potential here. The frames are not as good. They're one of the worst frame ones, but your opponent's not thinking as clearly versus that one either, because it's faster and they've got more layers to worry about. So you can use this, especially on hit. If you're going to punish with this, you got the extra +7, go for it. You're good to go. Back 3, back 4, the feisty rabbit, just hold forward, boom. All of these are pretty much hold forward. Back 1, hold forward. Back 2-1, hold forward. You go into do glide. Up 3, dumb, don't ever do it. I think it's a stupid move. Up 3-3, however, a little bit different. Up 3-3 turns into the Austromeria kick, which is very good. This is a weird sequence in general. I don't really recommend using it. Whatever, it's there. But if this gets blocked, you can see we're -3, right? Oh, no big deal. But on hit, normal ass hit, there's 5, right? If I go into do glide, 14. You remember 14, right? 14 into do glide means I can just do this for free. That's on a normal hit. And I can do the heat engagement for free. A normal hit of the Austromeria kick. Up 3-3 is kind of stupid to do that. However, forward 3, that's the same kick, exact same kick and frame date and everything. Forward 3 on hit, guarantees do glide 3+4. And guarantees 2-1 into heat exchange. Heat engage. So that's awesome. This is a cool move. It's a decent way to use for offense. It's not the best one. And the last patch of Tekken 7, they made it a launcher like it used to be back in the day. You could kind of sidestep out of it and pick up. Now, it's not technically a launcher, but it is in heat mode, and you get good rewards anyway. Same as back one on counter hit. This does the exact same thing on normal hit, so that's super good. And we also mentioned while standing 1-2, your 13 frame crouching punisher. This is one of the better frame ways to go transition. That +10 lets Lili do a little bit more without fear of getting checked by anything. Good stuff all around. Very good way to do it. So this transition moves go from good to bad. You're going to want to use them all, though. Technically, except maybe 3-2. I wouldn't use that as much. Back 1's really good. Back 2-1 is really good. Forward 3, Austromeria is really good. While standing 1 is really good. So you're going to use those as much as you can. Run mix-ups, do the cancels, sidestep out, keep them guessing. Don't ever overcommit. Keep it fresh, and you'll be just fine. The feisty rabbit stance is nowhere near as robust. It only has a couple of choices, but it's meant to focus on this bouncing around aspect. She takes the same hop distance every time, but the vertical, like the front to back distance, is kind of weird, right? If I start out here and I go left, and then I go right, I'd end up closer. If I go right, then I go left, I think I get closer each time, but I move the same 90 degrees each time, right? If I go left twice, I'm behind her, and if I go, and if I go right twice, I end up right back in front. So it's a nice big chunk, but you're going to get clipped by a lot of stuff in this game. Even like out here, like a good Brian 3+4 or something is going to clip you. So this isn't exactly as good at what it's intended to be, which is evasion and counterattacking, but work on it, see what works for you, and you will get some stuff out of it. So what this does, Feisty Rabbit 2 is a heat engager, so this is good all around. I think it's blocked -9, so a safe mid heat engager is actually really good. You just have to successfully get a Feisty Rabbit off in order to do it. Combo, etc. once you're in heat mode. Feisty Rabbit 3 is a little low. +3 is good. It goes under highs. Again, if you've already avoided an attack, you're good. You should go for the 2. But in the process of doing 3, you can still avoid more jabs. It does crush pretty well. +3 and forces them to crouch, which is good. It's also a counter hit launcher. So you do get a combo from that on counter hit. Good stuff. So if they get jabby and you happen to counter hit a jab, good for you. The last one is 4, a version of the piercing 4. It's a safe mid, it knocks down, and when you're in heat mode, it's plus. So that's okay, but that's all there is, right? There's a mid and a low. There's a mid and a low mix up to come from the Feisty Rabbit. So the mids are safe. So you can kind of just do this whenever you want to. The problem is in the Feisty Rabbit itself, you're getting clipped by a big ham-fisted hitbox. So if you're not worried about that, use these pretty well. They're good moves. That counter hit is worth it. And this gets powered up entirely when you're in heat mode. Oh, you can also do it twice. If you just hold in the 3 or the 4 button, she'll hop twice. So use this as you can. There's only 2 moves that go into it other than the stances. You can just do back 3, back 4 manually. If you're back turned and you do back 3 or 4, she'll hop sideways, but not like forward to back. She seems to just kind of only move laterally when you do that. It's weird. Do glide. You can go right out of it. But the 2 moves that you could do are do glide 3 plus 4, as we talked about. You just press back 3 or back 4 during the move, and she'll hop immediately. And the other one is a sidestep 4. Sidestep 4, if you do nothing, leaves her back turned. But if you press back 3 or back 4, she'll hop immediately. That's all the way. So it's not meant to be like a offense stance transition thing. It's meant for evasion. It's meant to just move around the field. That's all it does. And it's okay, but I think they're going somewhere. A couple changes to this could make it really strong later down the road. The other full complete stance is back turned. Lili has a surprising amount of stuff from back turned, and it's almost all really good. A lot of changes from last time. A couple things that are like you don't ever really want to use, but they're there. If you throw them out once a year, you might catch the hit like we talked about before. First off is 1-2. It's one of your new tornado attacks. It's a high mid string natural combo. 1-4 is a high natural combo and a heat engager. So it's up to you what you want to leverage. If you want to just, risk getting ducked, I guess. It's not a huge risk, but it can be. You have a mid to back it up, and the mid's unsafe. A typical high-mid pseudo mix-up. And the one of them is a heat engager. So that's there. 2 now used to be a nice counter hit launcher and safe. It's now a power crush, which is also very excellent to have, just like Do Glide. Adding a power crush to this is fantastic stuff. As long as you go into back turn with enough frame advantage, because the power crush takes, like 8 frames to get started? So if you're worried about getting like hop kicked in the back, this will shut that down. Really nice choice to have there. Not perfect. If you go into back turn with bad frames, so like you've done this isn't really going to save you because you're going to get hop kicked before the armor activates. But in normal circumstances, power crush is really good to have. Another new addition is 3-4. First hit is homing, second hit knocks down, and you get a guaranteed follow-up. You get free damage. You get 50 damage off of this, no questions asked. Maybe even, actually more. You get 56 damage off of that. That's kind of hard. 50's fine because it's way easier. But that's totally worth the string. It's only going to be what, -12? -12 is fine. But the first hit being homing is also excellent. You could just do that. Just one hit by itself if you're worried about the homing. It's -10. So if you're worried about getting blocked, just go ahead and do the whole thing. Because you'll get tons of damage and, to hell with the consequences. Not a ton of difference between -10 and -12 these days. You might as well go for it all and get your 50 if you're right, 4 is still there. That little backflip, very unsafe. They're going to launch you for it. But 4-3 plus 4 does a second flip, which will kind of check that. But same thing. They'll launch you in the back if they block it. It's kind of tough to recommend this one, but it is there. If you catch the counter hit, you get the whole thing for some 40-50 damage. I don't know. Depends on if you're feeling like it. It's mid, so whatever. There's plenty of other mid stuff you could do. I would rather stick to this for my 50 damage than this counter. This is still good at the wall like it always was, and good for breaking the floors. Otherwise, I don't recommend. 1+2 is still there. Still a launcher. It's -11 now, so they can just do a while standing 4. Instead, they used to have the duck jab. The only punish for this was a duck jab. Now you can while standing 4, but otherwise, that's pretty good for a launcher. 1+2 turnaround. This is really nice. 3+4 is another backflip that leaves her there, so you can just start over. This is going to be +2 on block. So unless they step around this, you kind of frame trap them. You got good stuff there. That's nice to have being plus. Obviously, it takes forever, but they're not going to step that on reaction a lot and punish. Yeah, maybe they do. If they do, don't do this anymore. Otherwise, that's pretty good. Down 2. Down 2 is a new low. That's very good. Goes under highs really fast. +5 on hit. Both of you are crouching. That's a really good move. On counter hit, you get a knockdown. follow up like that, back, look at all that nasty stuff. So down 2 is a really good addition. Down 3, 4 still kind of sucks. It's not natural. You need the counter hit to land that for 29 damage. And that's minus 13? Like, why? You know, that's just outclassed these days. I don't see any good use to that move. Forget about that one. Down 4 is a new version. She used to have a generic down 4, like this down 4 kick from back turn that was just broken. So they replaced it with a unique one. Still good. It's faster than down 2, but it's not as good on hit. It's still a really good low. So between down 2 and down 4, back turn low pokes are way more annoying. And she still has down 3 plus 4, which is this guy. 20 frames is very blockable. If you hit it, 3, 4 is guaranteed. But that's a big risk for just one little dumb low. I don't know. I don't know if you really want to mess with that. You don't get a ton from it. You just get like a follow-up, maybe a wall splat if you're at the exact right distance. Very risky. Again, don't know if I'd worry about that one. This big low and this big mid, I'd kind of skip them if I were you. She used to be able to get a launcher if she hit it just the right angle. I think that's gone now because they changed it down 4. So that low's not worth it. So again, you got a stance that doesn't have like the big low, but you got 2 good, annoying little lows. That goes a long way. The other things you could do are into Feisty Rabbit directly we talked about, and a heat smash. She has a unique heat smash while she's back turned, which is a low. And it's safe on block. It's only minus 8. So that is where your low comes in. You save it for heat mode, and when you're turned around shenanigan and you're doing this thing and your plus, low attack, eat 50 damage, idiot. Right? That's where your low comes from. So back turn is really dangerous. Also very practical. Tons of moves that go into it. She has a new string in 1-1. Oop, free back turn. On block minus 4, on hit plus 4. That's workable. Pretty much anything else you hold back, just like do glide is hold forward. Turning around is hold back. Down forward 2, you hold back. Down forward 3 plus 4. The round out kick flips and leaves her backwards by default. I like this move a lot for long range. It's kind of risky, but you got some choices there. You can get yourself out of trouble if you're clever. So I just like this move personally. I don't know if it's good. I just like it. Down 1-2 is an excellent string you have. If you hold back, you get back turned. Up forward 4 is kind of weird. They added back turn to this recently. That's pretty good. Forward 4, the root of evil. It's technically a seeable low. People are supposed to be blocking this all day, but it hits people a lot. You back turned, you have excellent frames there. And if you happen to counter hit that, you get free damage. You get wall splat. You get the 1 strings for free. So forward 4, hold back into back turn is one of the really good ones. While standing 2 is the same, just like down forward 2. You hold it and you turn around. Not a great one. Do glide 1-2. We mentioned canceling the second hit into back turn. It's there, but again, this is one of her riskier options. And sidestep 4, this new little kick automatically uses her back turn to hit or not. So that's a decent one. They're all decent if you know what you're doing, right? If you can keep yourself safe and make the right moves, they're all pretty good. I would use as many of these as I possibly can in a match, except maybe the down forward 2 stuff. I'm not a fan of that. It doesn't really do anything the hop kick does, right? Whatever. But back 2-1, excellent. 1-1 seems pretty good now too. So learn all of those. They're in the doc. You don't have to memorize them all at once, but eventually you want to say, okay, I want to use the do glide more. Go check on all the, oh yeah, I can use that to do glide. Boom. Same with back turn. Take you a while to memorize all this. These are fairly robust stances and they're important, but you need them. So they make sure you just learn at your own pace. There's no point in memorizing a million things if you're going to forget them. You want to learn how and why you use these things. And we'll talk about all of this much more in the playstyle section. This is to show you what's there. You know what's in your stances now, mostly. So when you go through everything else, like, oh, okay, now I see why she has this, I can do blah, blah, blah at a stance, you're already halfway there, you know? So take your time learning. Be sure to check the docs for the reference on all of these things and just work at your own pace. You're not going to learn it all in a day, but if you learn and then master a few things at a time, it'll work way better.